This is a picture by of the Peace Mandala by Veronique Savino, the oil painter, the painter, and it's about. I'm sitting here in my geodesic dome, where I've got a little bit of a place away from the agricultural work, and sorry about the plastic flapping a little bit, but we'll get on with that. So you're looking at a female standing inside a circle. She's standing inside that circle there, and the center of her head is inside this yin-yang, and the center of the navel is again inside the yin-yang. So we have the head and the navel. This is the probably the secret view of the macrocosmic female, because she's surrounded here by the planet Earth. She's a Chinese version of what Leonardo da Vinci was trying to draw in the true Da Vinci Code. And here's the Da Vincian one up here. You see this head. See the man smiling. That's just an image of what was before. But if you make a square here around the whole frame, then you can see that this head is the one drawn by Leonardo da Vinci of a Vitruvian man. His neck coming down here. He's got these hands sticking out, and he's got this huge body with spread-eagled legs. But he's actually missing from this one because we've replaced him with the female version here. The female version, much less arrogant than the Western male, because the Western male is got this moon head, but he's also bigger than the Earth with his small Earth body. And here we get a massive reduction from the size of the sacred square. And this is a really sacred square, because that square fits on top of Jerusalem Old City, it fits on top of Stonehenge, it fits on top of the pyramids, all in plan view. If you take the plan view of Jerusalem Old City and you put it in there, then it fits gate to gate, as John Michel was found out in his research. If you take this and put Stonehenge in here, these green circles are the same size as the stone circles, so you can put one more stone circle in there, get this Celtic cross image on Stonehenge. But the basis of this square, never mind, let's not go into Cheops or wherever else it maybe appears, but the basis of this square is the size of 8 moons. So we have 1 moon here, 2 moons here, 2 more moons to the center, 2 more moons, 2 more moons. We've got 8 moons across and 8 moons down. So you're looking at something like a moon chessboard of black and white moons, full moons and dark moons. I've seen this in some Knights Templar drawings of the temple. You see the floor is done in this type of design. Floor of some paintings for Knights Templar churches, especially the one at Sompting down here, an old Knights Templar church. But the size of the moon, if this moon is 216 units, it's 6 times 6 times 6. It's a 5,000-year-old design that's using 6 times 6 times 6. So if you put 8 of these 6 times 6 times 6s in a line, that's 8 times 216, you get 1,728. And 1,728 is a very strong number as well, because it's 12 times 12 times 12. 12 times 12 times 12. 8 moons gives you one square. One side of one square is 1,728, and that's 12 times 12 times 12 times 12 times 12. 12 cubed. So this is a 5,000-year-old design using 12 cubed. Well, if you make half of 1,728, that size there is the size of this diameter of sun. This is the sun light here surrounding what is the Earth, and we have something like 2 moons in this drawing to make yin and yang. The Earth, you can just make out the continents, the southern continents, South America, the Arctic, and Is that the Antarctic or the Arctic?
Antarctic is on the bottom, yeah.
Thank you. The Antarctic, Australia, India, and Africa, and in set you have this female. These squares here and this piece of gold here refer to the pyramid of Cheops, and the whole of this map, which is a Gull Peters projection, is it a Gull Peters projection? Well, it's an azimuthal projection based right on the center of the pyramid of Cheops, right in the center of that thing, and also noticeably the center of this woman's heart. This is not it's not a sort of a charlatan trick, because the basis of the numbers we're looking at was adopted by the British government in 1593, the government being the court of Elizabeth I. So 1593 we had the change to the foot-mile ratio to make this moon exactly 2,160 miles. So that is 6 times 6 times 6 times 10 is the British mile diameter of the moon. The statute British mile, the one still in use in Britain, still in use in America. Is it still in use in Australia? I guess it probably still is, and other places. So this is a British, they've adopted this design in 1593 on the basis of possibly of Stonehenge, but more likely the deeper study of this square as it overlays on Jerusalem Old City. And if it does pan out that it overlays on Jerusalem Old City, and that's certainly what John Michel thought when he discovered this rectangular design, 12 by 5, or if you make it an octagon, not exactly 12 by 5, but he determined that to be a measure in British feet, 1,728 multiplied by 1.728 feet. And I've taken his measure, which was laughed at in a number of circles, including the nearest academy, engineering academy, university research engineering academy. They just laughed at it when he told them this momentous idea that the British measurement system was linked to Jerusalem, and I didn't. I took the whole idea for about 10,000 hours of my own research to come up with this design. Going back to the sun, when you see that diameter of sun, and this diameter is just outside of the Earth, it's just on the edge of these triangles, these 12 triangles indicating the months of the solar year. So you have one solar year here. Today's February the 4th. Is it the 4th today? Yep. February the 4th here, so we're right bang on this side view, which is Imbolc. So we have Imbolc here, Beltane here. Lugnasad or La Lunasa here, and Samain or Samhain here. November the 5th, May the 1st, Imbolc and La Lunasa. The size of that sun is 864. It's half of 12 times 12 times 12. It's half of 1,728. So you have two moons to make up this square. Two suns, sorry, to make up this square. Two suns make up the square, and 4 moons. So you have 4 moons with one sun. So this measure is 864. You look on the internet now, and the size of the sun is 864,000 miles. It just happens to be because it fits in with the geometry that we're looking at here, and there is a lot of geometry that you can throw down on this once you've got a measure of the Earth and human.
So this painting is a visual representation of the work that you've been doing.
It's a visual representation of what I know so far. The size of the Earth is 792 units, leaving this sort of size here, which is 36, about 360 miles up. Above us is the part of the thermosphere where the temperature goes up to about 2,000 degrees centigrade. So this is a very good indication of that line there, with its 36 units. So you add a 0 to get British miles. So it's 360 miles up above the atmosphere. So when you so this is 792, and the moon is 216. So they're in an exact ratio. You add a 0 to each. That's the exact diameters of the Earth and the moon in British miles. Why did they adopt this? It's a very good question. I've spent about 10,000 hours, and I've got a book out on the subject which I call the Peace Mandala. Why do I call it the Peace Mandala? Well, everything seems to be balanced and seems to hang on either side of this pivotal point here, even possibly even this way as well. So everything balanced, and I see peace more as a balancing of objects, a balancing of opposites, let's say. If you take Jerusalem, the name Jerusalem is Yerushalem, which is the city of the whole. And here we're looking at something like a holistic design. And the word Shalem has its roots, it's the root form for the word Shalom, and some argue even Salam. We won't go into that argument, but the word for peace comes from this idea of the whole. So this representation of the whole, maybe it's some type of mandala or some type of formulation that took some time to represent and to be put onto the landscape in its various guises. But this is maybe the actual basis of it, rather than the sort of imaginations of some men where they've interspersed this sort of arrogant male on the top. If you can, of course, make a pentagon inside this. So this man has this pentagon effect. And 1728 is interesting because you can make it, the pentagon, have a phi ratio measure, something like 1618.034, which is the phi, which is a measure of the length of a chord according to the mathematical phi constant. All of these numbers fall out into a small group of numbers using the megalithic pi, which is 3.1418282, and it was a measure noted by Fibonacci in the 12th century, just after the Franks and the different rulers got thrown out of Jerusalem for the last time. And this is what they were probably mapping. So we have over here in Jerusalem the Christian Arabs, down here the Jewish quarter. I was somewhere around here overlooking the Wailing Wall when I met with John Michel in 1999 to at this key moment when he was there. He's dead now. He's a sad loss to the what they call the New Age community. But this isn't just New Age. This is not really a fluffy anything fluffy about this design. We're talking about something which has very hard, coldly mathematics in some respects, and it also has an eclipsing mechanism which you can relate this Earth to a much smaller one, exactly 100 times smaller, which gives you a shadow of itself made by the sun. The end of the cone shadow is over here, and of course where the end of this where the moon is inside this cone shadow is like a drawing of an eclipse event, and it's sitting on the sarsen stone circle, which is this sort of distance here. And this sarsen stone circle is so important, there's a clock, that it's repeated in this area here to make a sort of a Celtic cross-like effect. No matter what what happened with me was that after I'd cracked all the Stonehenge stuff, on the 7th of the 7th, 2007, a crop circle appeared, which I based these 12 triangles on, and which I based the yin yang as the representation of the Earth. But what the crop circles also had was these 3 lines going around the outside of the crop circle, and those 3 lines you could interpret, because it was at Stantonbury Hill Fort. Stantonbury Hill Fort was in the direction of the mountain, and then you had the male and the female, so you could work out another set of trigrams, which is not a popular set of trigrams, what they call bagua or pakwa. 8 trigrams, they're in a different formulation from the usual one. It's a known formulation, however it's not one of the usual types of bakwa. And the one we're looking at here also breaks down to give you a cylindrical representation, which allows you to distribute 64 hexagrams around this solar year. So the Chinese hexagramic cycle has been broken as well by this by me focusing in on just one crop circle, which happened to look very similar to the one that I've been representing here. So I'm on a whole new track here, and the movement of the year is the start of winter here. So this is the whole of winter, and here's February the 5th, or something like February the 10th would be Chinese New Year here. So this is the time of Imbolg, in belly, when the Bridget's Day, Breeder's Day, Bride's Day. So the bridie, the bride, the Freya, the Frigg, whatever the name of the virgin receiving the male. So this is the time when the man would reduce the use of his semen or stop it altogether. And that's what a lot of the November the 5th bonfires are truly about. And then he would allow release in certain rituals. Probably the word Februar comes from the Sabine ritual, which was focused on this release of sperm and whatever magic or impregnation could happen from then. Certainly the gateway of Stonehenge, from my calculations, opens to there as some sort of, here we have 2 embankments going around the outside of Stonehenge, and they stop here in about 40 degrees, 45 degrees north of east, to allow this idea of the impregnation. If she's pregnant here, then she's 3 months pregnant at Beltane, which is something like this representation. And the hexagram for this sign, this time, means peace. It's the hexagram of peace. So there's another peace. We have the city of peace, we have the hexagram of peace, because that's the way to actually stand it up, with winter with the start of winter at the top and the start of summer at the bottom. So this start of here we have summer going around here opposite the winter. And again, this is a time of when females tend to copy the conservation rituals carried out by the males by conserving their own flow of yin and then releasing it at this festival here. And then we have the turn of autumn and the fall, back to the start of the winter then. And that's the full year. You can overlay virtually anything, and the British Admiralty have probably been using, well, pretty much definitely been using variations of these measures to determine their nautical mile and the measurements of the planet. So if you've got 360 degrees, you times it by 60 to get 60 minutes. 60 minutes of 360 degrees is 60 times 360, which is 21,600 minutes around the full circle. This is 2,160 miles, 6 times 6 times 6. So it's the same type of numbers that we're using over and over again. Alexander Thom did a lot of studies of megalithics and megalithic circles. He did a lot of measurements out there, and it was only his research that allowed us to talk about 2.72 feet. And that allowed me to fit the British measurement system into his megalithic yard just by making a slight alteration to the megalithic yard, which is 2.7. I've forgotten it now. It's so long since I used it. It's 2.7225 feet, I believe. But the importance of that megalithic yard was that it was a measure of the upper air glow layer at 8,066.666 recurring miles. So it's a very hard one to extract from the figures, and it certainly kept John Michel and later on me and quite a few others, going for a few years trying to find out what this real connection was. And we were all what we did was not bow to the intelligence of, I suppose, our ancestors, and we didn't realize that they were giving us a measure of the air glow layer, which is the one that we only needed when they started dropping these space shuttle Discovery and all these ones, space shuttles coming back into the Earth's atmosphere. That's the only time they needed it, and that's about 400,000 feet at about 72 or 73 miles up. They make this change at a very high speed and go back into the Earth's atmosphere and glide down into Houston there. In the beginning, I've sort of backed away from it because I'm a bit shocked by how much it's taken on itself, how much it can actually take. You know, I've thrown the I Ching at it, and it's come back with an answer. I've thrown the human at it, it's come back with an answer. I've thrown in how the eclipse mechanism works with this shadow effect, and it's come back with answers. And the answers are very written in expressions like the square root of 5 and pi and phi, different approximations of pi and phi, different approximations of the upper air glow layer and the Earth's surface. It all means that there was an intelligent ancestor out there, and they were leaving us that behind. And maybe that was the motive to work, that they were so sick of war and violence and destruction that they wanted to leave a sort of a creative process behind, which was based on fact. And you can't really move away from the factual basis of the eclipse mechanism and the clocks and what's going on inside this piece mandala. More will come out, I suppose, when more people get to look at it. At the moment, I'm just sort of posting it into the world, and I've been living in this tiny wooden place. The temperature's now about 23.5, and well, no, it's not dropped down to about 16 with my wood burner here. It's about 10 degrees outside. I got a geodesic dome over the top of this wooden shell, this wooden sort of hermit's shell that I live in. I backed well away from throwing this out quickly into the world because it's very liable to be open to misinterpretation. I've become whereas before I was a teacher, before I was a veg box scheme seller growing my own vegetables, now I'm sort of a freegan home free, or a home free freegan, or whatever they want to name they want to put on it, just to take myself down to this simple level of living with the earth, living with wood and water, and growing my vegetables and getting my perspective on this as I move myself away and I've taken a complete holiday from things electronic, things computer, things TV, things radio, I suppose, and I do read a few newspapers. There's David Bowie's new single in the newspaper. I do catch a few headlines and a few articles because I use papers to light my wood burner, and they sort of come to me every so often. But this is a very important time of the year for me. From February the 5th tomorrow is the hexagram of the whale, number 48, what I call hexagram number 1 in my derivation. So in those first 5 days I'm going to fast and meditate to be doubly clear about where I'm going with this and what I'm hoping to see happen with it. So after that fasting, then I have a sort of a release ceremony, which is to do with my control of my tide of yang, and then I'll continue through the year planting some tomatoes, keep on going, have something of a May Day celebration possibly for the start of the summer, and go on through my year and see how many of these years I can get.